Il est 18h06. Here is R2Home, but only assembled, and now we are gonna assemble it together. So there are multiple parts. Some of them are already a little bit assembled, but if it is the case, it is because there is nothing complicated to understand. And so let's get started. So we are going to begin with the bottom of the system. So the two bottom parts are this one. So this one is the part that will be really at the bottom, and this one just under it, and they are coming together like that. But before we make this connection, we need to get the remove before flight switch in this part. So what we have to do is to get it in like that, so that when the pin is inserted, the switch is switched that way. So we have two screws. As you can see, there are two holes in the switch, and yeah. Okay, so the first screw is in, and also on this first screw the nut was already in there, but for the second one I will have to put the nut just there, so that when I put the screw there, there is something to screw in. Okay, so now the switch is in the parts, and we should be able to hear it clicking. Okay, perfect. So this part is almost ready. Then we need to connect these two parts, basically like that. And as you can see, there are already two parts connected. These are the springs to then lock the system into its tube. And these two parts are connected with two screws coming like that and like that. And then on the back there is one nut here and another nut here. So we need to get one there, and then oops. Okay, perfect. So now these two parts are fully connected together, and we can continue the assembly. So we're gonna need to get those two rods connected with this part. The first thing you have to do is to put one nut on each one. Then you have to get this part positioned on the other one. Then just push it through. Then get one nut on the other side. You don't want it to go deeper, just like that. And then you can screw it like that. Perfect. And we are just gonna make the same with the other words. Okay, perfect. So now we have this and we are ready to continue. But first, we have to work a little bit on the second part, which is this part where the battery goes, and also the barometer, the LED, and the telemetry. So first, we're gonna put the telemetry units in, but before we have to connect its cable. It's really simple, like that. Then we have to get the cable through, and no, it's the opposite. You have to get it in this direction with the antenna on the top if you look from it. And you want to push it a little bit to make sure it is in the right slot. Okay, so second thing, we can assemble both modules. You want to get it that way, like that. And so now the antenna of the telemetry is coming over there, and the cable is coming right there. And here you want to reduce a bit the length of the cable, so we're gonna coil it up inside the small hole. Up. Okay, so fine. Then we want to put this part, which is the 3D printed part to mount the onboard computer. So there is no direction, you just want to get it like that. Okay, so now this is what you have. Then we need 2 hollow nuts to fix it like that. Okay, nice, perfect. So then we are gonna mount 2 things, 2 small PCB on the system. So this one is the barometer, this is a BMP 280, and this is a RGB LED to know the status of the system, like the flight mode, of the battery is too low, everything else. So one goes there, and the other one goes there. And we need 2 screws for each one. So we just mounted the barometer, and now we're gonna mount the LED. You're gonna make it after all. Okay, fine. So now this part is ready. Then we're gonna mount the onboard computer. So on the board there are 4 holes, and there is one for each holes on the computer mount, and you want the micro SD connector to be on the side of the LED, so that way. And then there are 4 screws. No, not the right one. Okay, perfect. So now the onboard controller is mounted, and we can already install the micro SD card in the micro SD card port. Okay, perfect. So we still have one component to get on the same area, which is the RC receiver. In theory, you don't need one because the system should be autonomous, but while the system is still in development, I'm using one. And so this is a S-Bus receiver, so it is communicating with my radio controller, and the white wire is outputting S-Bus signal on 10 channels, I think. And so I'm just gonna put it between like that over there, and then you have to connect it on the RX port. Then we are also gonna connect the LED, the RGB LED. We are also going to connect the barometer on the I2C A port. The wire on my system is a bit short, but that's okay. Perfect. And we are also going to connect the telemetry. Perfect. So now almost everything is in place. We can also put the capacitor in its position over there. And we are ready for the next step. So the next step will be installing the control servo. So this servo is a parallax 360, and so it can move on 360 degrees with digital feedback. So this is why there is also another wire. And then the PID controller for the servo is in the onboard controller. Okay, perfect. So now you want to put the servo, so you want this part to be like that. And then we want to have 40 millimeters between this nut and this nut. So we're gonna use okay, we're gonna say it's good. And then we have to add 2 more nuts on the top. Alright, now we can also connect the servo control. So the wire with 3 wire is on the middle, and then the feedback wire is on the left. And then we can mount the final port, which is the top closer. But before, we need to add 2 more nuts. Okay, so basically you just take it and you want the camera to be on this side, so like that. And there we want to have 45 millimeter, if I remember correctly. And we need 2 more final nuts. Okay, so then we have a few wires to connect. We can begin with the deployment servo wire. So we can make it go through like that. And then finally we can connect it here. Nice. Then we can connect the GPS and compass connector. Up a few turns. Perfect. And finally we can connect the powering cable for the RunCam 4. Perfect. And we can get the cable a bit like that. Perfect. So now the system is almost ready. The next thing you can do is take your brake line and make it go through. Up. And we're almost ready. We can put the battery in place. That way. Then we can get the RBF switch in place. We can connect the RBF switch connector into the onboard computer. Then we can connect the battery. It should not blow up because the RBF switch is not removed. And so we are ready for this first part. Then if we want to mount the wing, we will have to mount the wing attachment points, which we are going to do just a little bit later. But first we can do a first powering test. So I'm going to just remove the switch. And so the system is powering like it should. This LED blinking red means that the system is not initialized yet. It also means that the GPS has not found any satellites yet, but that's okay.